Welcome to our Portuguese Table podcast. I'm Maria Lawton, the Azorian Green Bean.
And I'm Angela Simoes, and we're just two chicks dishing about Portuguese food, culture, and what it means to be Portuguese.
So grab a glass of vinho or un copo de café and join us as we talk about our favorite foods, reminisce about growing up Portuguese,
and interview some of our community's most successful chefs and food writers.
So sit down at our Portuguese table. Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing?
Hello, Maria.
Hello, Maria. Doing good.
Hello, Floriano. And, you know, we have a special guest with us today, don't we, Angela?
We do. I'm so excited.
We are. We're very excited about talking to you, Florian. Now, are we going to call you? You want to be called your full name, Flo Cabral, or do you want to be called
Flo? Flo is
Flo?
Flo, F-L-O. I've been called Flo since I was a kid.
So. I love it. Okay, perfect. Now, for those that are tuning in to our podcast, Flo, or Florian Cabral, he is, how can I explain it? Besides being a character when you meet him, and he is the original person, or maybe you can correct me, who put together the International Portuguese Music Awards, which is the equivalent of like the Portuguese Emmy Awards, correct? Yeah. Am I right with this?
Yes, correct. It was my idea, and then I got together with called a couple of other guys, and they joined in, and we've been working at it for 5 years.
It is 5 years. I was going to say, is it 4 years now? But it's 5 years.
No, we're going in our 5th year.
Wow. Well, you know, personally, I think it's amazing for the Portuguese artists to be recognized outside of Portugal. Mm-hmm. And I mean, this is a huge deal. This is amazing. So what made you think of this, honey? What made you think of this?
Well, my profession is I'm a TV producer, and I've been producing TV probably for the last 20 some odd years. I've done numerous concerts, live broadcasts, stuff like that, and I always knew that there was a need for something in our Portuguese community, because even in Portugal they don't have an award show,
They don't at all?
No, they do have other shows like the Golden Globes, but it has nothing to do with music. So
interesting.
I decided to, and it's not just that, it's also that they also look at usually, and thank God it's changing now, the mentality, but they also look towards the immigration as, I know I'm going to get criticized for this, but second-class citizens. And they look at us, and it's like, these guys, they don't know what they're doing. We are the good ones. We can do this. We can do that. I mean, we live in America. This is where TV was invented, audio was invented. So we needed to create something to showcase what we have. The original idea was always to be a worldwide thing, so that there will be almost like a network between all these artists. So they get to know each other. They have to, they thrive off each other. They become friends. They become like a family. And that's exactly what's happened. A lot of these guys that meet here by accident, they become friends. They get together. They produce music together.
Wow, that's awesome. I
mean, even artists that come from Portugal. Last year, the sound engineer that came with Paul Gomes got to meet Boss AC, another huge artist in Portugal. Guess what? Now he's working with them in Portugal.
Wow. Now let me ask you this. Do you get a part of that royalty for bringing them together?
No, I wish I did. Not even dinner. So
you got to set up a finder's fee or something.
Exactly. But but it's the joy of being able to get all these people together, and and we all have one common thing. We are of Portuguese descent, or Portuguese. Right. So, and it's so rewarding when you see their expressions. When what we do, I don't really know the dimension of it because I'm involved. I work on it, and I don't even see the show, to tell you the truth. I'm always, during the show, I'm the executive producer and director. I am inside a truck on the street. So wow. I don't get to experiment, to experience the sound, hitting your chest and the vibration. And this last year, after the last command that I gave, I had about 5 minutes of the show left, and I told my associate producer to take over, and I came inside, and it was a feeling of like, wow, I'm actually part of this. This is amazing what we achieved.
Right.
And now I understand what, when people get excited about IPMA, why they get excited. So that makes it even worthwhile, because financially it's not worthwhile.
Right. Now, let me ask you this. Now, this is, of course, this is our Portuguese table. And
yes.
we always talk about, in the beginning, we always ask, and I think it's something that Angela always asks, and that is, where you come from, your story.
Yep.
And we went right into the music awards. I mean, I didn't even ask you your story. I'm really just excited about everything that you do. So, but for those that want to know who you are, Flo,
my story is probably the same as millions of other immigrants. I came here. I was 17 years old from the island of San Miguel. My father did okay. He had a bar for many years, for 40 years. But I had a brother that had immigrated, and my father came to visit, and he fell in love with America. So my whole family came to visit, but me, because I was a basketball player for Sporting. And I was 17, and for Portugal, I was a good player. So I never came, I never showed any interest to come to America, and I had never worked a day in my life. So they said, okay, you go into America, your father's going to put you in college, your brother is going to put you in college, you're going to play college basketball. Well, I left on a Friday. On Monday, I went to work in a hat factory. That was my college. Yes. It's like, what a nightmare. From having probably being the most popular kid in school to knowing nobody, not speaking a word of English, and went to work into a hat factory. I hated it with such a passion. I cried every day. And then I got lucky. The factory burned down. The old curd mill building, if you recall.
I remember the old building.
Yeah, I actually was a troublemaker while I worked here for 6 months, because I was the floor boy, and a lot of the ladies spoke Portuguese. So there was a store on the first floor that sold ice cream and all kinds of stuff. So I would gather money from everybody, then go in the window with a bucket, drop it down, asking someone to go inside, get some Klondike bars, and then I would bring them all up through the window. And so that was my job.
You know what? I don't doubt this. I really do not doubt anything like that, because you are a character. I could see that.
I think, and I used to play some pranks on these people. Even the owner of the factory, he was Jewish. And one time, I remember I used to chase some guys. I used to go to the bathroom, and while they were in there, I would just go open the fountain and just throw water on them. One day I did. And it was the owner. Oh my God! Did I run fast? But anyway,
Maria wasn't kidding when she said you were kidding. My goodness.
I wasn't kidding, Angela. I am not kidding you.
So, and then after that, I met my wife, and then a couple of months later, we got married. I went to visit a couple of girls that were my friends from Portugal. They came here to study. I went to visit them. My wife was moving in with them as a roommate, so I met her. I think like 6 months later, we were married. And then we went to Portugal and get married by the church, because my wife, obviously, she moved into my house with my parents, but I lived in a separate room. I slept with my brother for a year while my wife slept alone. And I used to go watch TV in a room, and my mother, every 5 minutes, opened the door. I forgot to bring these socks to put in the... and then I forgot to bring this shirt, and no, she just kept an eye on it. She said, I owe it to your mother to watch out for you, whatever. So, and then we went back and we got married by the church, and then we moved straight to Somerville, where I studied at Northeastern, and then she was taking civil engineering, I was taking electrical engineering, and then she ended up taking electrolysis. So we moved back to Fall River, and 5 years later, and I needed to pay my student loans, and I went to work for the Portuguese channel as a cameraman. So, and the rest is history. Then I started my own thing, and I've been doing TV since then, by accident.
And you work with still RTP to this day, correct?
Yes, I do work for them, and not as much as I used to. I mean, the first 2-3 years of my life, of my career, I would spend 9 to 10 months out of the year away from here. And we had 3 daughters at that time. They were very young. So now they all out of the house. We have a grandson, a 2-year-old, and I do some. I mostly produce local stuff now, and then I came out with the IPMA, which is a 365-day-a-year job, and besides that, I do things here. I used to do a lot of stuff at the Diocese of Fall River. I still do some, but not a lot. So, but I've slowed down considerably.
Now, for those that are listening out there, I'm going to ask this question because I know they probably are going to say, "I wonder if." Now we know that it's going to be the award is going to be on Saturday, April 22nd.
Yes.
And it's going to be on the Saturday at 7:00 in the evening at the Zeiterion Theater.
Yes, at Zeiterion Theater. Now, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was saying, my other question is there any chance that Roberto Carlos and Jennifer Lopez will perform their song?
Now, that's the joke of the year. Well, I don't think we could afford to pay for Roberto Carlos' limousine.
No.
Well, actually, you never know. You know, one thing that's changed in these 5 years is the not easiness, but I could say it's a little easier every year to get better and better talent to perform at IPMA, because now we have a record. We have something to prove that we can do. And the first year, our quote unquote guinea pig was Robert Leal, and we owe probably the success of IPMA to him, because he came for the first edition and he knew nothing about it. Wow. And after that, he was a reference to everything. We've had Lucenzo, which you've heard that song Dança Kuduro, and he's never been honored in Portugal. And once he heard about us, we invited him and he showed up. Just to give you an idea, his song at the time, Dança Kuduro, had played over 800 million times on YouTube. It was the sixth most played video on YouTube of all times. So now we're getting a record. Now we decided to invite this Luso-Brazilian artist, which is Daniela Mercury. She's sold over 20 million albums. She's won an Emmy Award. She's amazing. So for her to accept to come and get a Lifetime Achievement Award from us and to perform, it's such an honor that, and if you think about it, it's also such an accomplishment for us to see someone of that stature come to New Bedford and be with the Portuguese people. And I'm so proud of what we achieved on that aspect. And people don't know the dimensions of these things, but this is huge. So
yeah, I mean that's not a small thing to have achieved.
No, not at all. Not at all.
And that notoriety. I mean, you've really put this event at the highest level. I mean, this is no 2-bit thing. This is like, and it just gets better every day, right?
I mean, we thrived. I mean, from what everybody said last year, every year we get better. But last year it was better than all the other years put together as far as production is concerned. Every cent, every extra dollar that comes in, we put it into production. Whether we get a couple of more lights, whether we get a laser, whether we get another extra LED panel. So everything goes into production. We're not in this, the three of us, we're not in this to make money. We're in this to promote our culture, our music, our language through the world and leave a mark so that the next people that come in, they can say, wow, this is something we should be proud of and continue. And it's great. I mean, I never in my wildest dreams thought that we would achieve such, a level like this. And from what people have told us, people that have come here and participated, that 3 guys here in America are putting a show just as good, if not better, than SIC TVI or RTP does in Portugal with their galas. They say we're not second to them. I mean, everything that we do, because we have 3 events on that weekend.
I was just going to say, there are 3 events that you have. You have the gala, the actual show, and then the after show.
Yes. So the gala, we have entertainment too. We bring in this jazz singer from New York. She's Portuguese. We just signed a contract today. So we have her. We have a Luso-American comedian that's coming from California, a young kid that's up and coming. So that's what we do. We expose these people. They come, we perform, we do the red carpet, we do the Hollywood lights outside, we block part of the street. So it's not Hollywood, but it's Fall River. So, and for a moment, we forget we're in Fall River.
That's right. That's right. So, it's all great. And, and it's something where, we're all proud of it. It's the moment where, as Portuguese, we're very proud of that, that we're able to do that and to be able to showcase all that we do. And that says a lot. And I think, again, that, we always talk about this here at our show and how we promote what is ours, and sometimes we do it not for the money, but because, and we know that, Angela, I mean, we've talked about this before. Mm-hmm. We do a lot of things sometimes just for the sake of getting it out there and making it happen and showcasing more of what, the Portuguese community has to offer. And we know that this is sometimes what we do, not for us, but the next generation coming in.
Yeah, what I regret is that Portugal has not recognized a lot of the stuff that's done. Because I think we do a lot more to promote Portugal here than they do it themselves there.
Why do you think that is?
I hate to say this, but I've experienced this before because I've been on my business, on a video production business for many years. And I'll never forget the first time I went to the Azores, and I was an employee of the Portuguese channel. Obviously, the means of the Portuguese channel is not the same as an RTP channel. And when I walked in there, they introduced me as, he's a cameraman for the Portuguese channel. They looked at me like, an immigrant. This guy's a second-class citizen. But they did not know that I had a degree, that I could do camera, I could do lights, I could do sound, I could edit, and none of them could do all that. So they kind of despised me, seriously, because at one point I wanted to go back for good, and I did an internship there, and they made my life so miserable for 2 weeks. When I got there, I was ready to work at 7 o'clock in the morning. We got there, we were supposed to do a story in Furnas, and there was nobody. So we opened a little armoire. We took the keys to one of the cars. We got into a service elevator, went down to the videotape storage, took 3 or 4 tapes, opened a storage cabinet, and took 1 camera. When I got back, I had the head of the union department there. He wanted to kill me. So to make a long story short, I had to rent a car to be able to work for RTP while I was there, because it was illegal for someone to drive a car, do camera work, and do editing. So after 2 weeks, I left. I'm like, no, thank you. But now they all come out. When they come here, they're like my best friends. So seriously, I think they look at us. It's like we laugh because we're not smart.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. The only time I've ever had anything like that, or hearing anything disparaging, it's bad enough that when we come here and we're immigrants here, and everyone has their turn of being picked on or being made fun of. We go through that here, and and been there, done that. So that when now you go back to where you were born, and you hear sometimes even family members or friends of family that they're talking off to the side, and they go, "Oh yeah, that's her, the immigrant."
Yeah, it's like Mark Dennis wrote a song. It says, "Quem que eu sou?" It's like, you're in America, you're an immigrant, you're Portuguese.
Yeah.
You go to Portugal, you an immigrant in America. So who are you? Who are we? Why aren't we welcome the way we're supposed to? This is our home. We love the Azores and the mainland more than those people, because they don't appreciate it. They haven't gone through what we have. And we know what we miss, and we wish we could be there, but unfortunately, life does not permit you to move back. Our roots are here now, but we still think about Portugal like I left yesterday. But lately, I've been so revolted with that. I've sold my house, and I go to Mexico, and I tell my friends, they say, why don't you come back more often? I tell them, I go to the Azores, I'm an immigrant. I go to Mexico, I'm a tourist. So seriously, and it's not because I'm better than anybody, but I'm treated the way I'm supposed to be treated. And unfortunately, they don't know how, especially where I come from, they still don't know how to receive. They don't, I think they feel like they're doing me a favor for bringing me a cup of coffee. And that, unfortunately, that's not, that's not right. So,
it's funny. You have, it reminds me of a story that my husband tells. So we have a folklore dance group here in California. And before I had joined the group, this many years ago, they did an exchange with a group in Portugal. So the group from Portugal came here, and then our group went over there. And while they were over there, they were at a restaurant, and I can't remember exactly where. It was in mainland. And, my husband speaks Portuguese fluently. Everybody there, they were all sitting at the table speaking Portuguese, and they kept, trying to flag down the waiter, can we order a drink? Can we order a drink? Nobody ever came over to them, right? So then it was probably about a half an hour, and finally my husband says, hey, can we get some service over here in English? And the guy came right over to the table. They ordered a round of beers and paid and left. And it was like, why did he respond when it was a tourist, an English person versus their own? It was just such a, I have to say, I've never personally experienced that. And maybe it's different because I'm third generation, and maybe they truly see me as a tourist, as an American. But I have heard these stories, and it is really unfortunate because I think that's part of the reason our community hasn't achieved more as a group, nationally, because we don't support each other as much as I think other groups do. We're too busy being competitive and trying to undercut each other. I think there's less and less of it. Thankfully, with the younger generations and people like Maria and I'm going to pat ourselves on the back, Maria, because I think you and I are two of the only people that really are vocally and publicly champion everybody that's successful. Let's be happy for everybody. Let's support them. Let's patronize other Portuguese businesses.
That's right.
Exactly.
I think we're seeing more of that, but that has been a big problem in our community for a long time. I think it's narrow-mindedness. It's also, I think it's enrooted on our own blood, our own cells, because we came, especially my generation, because I was born there. And like you said, there's always that competitiveness. I need to do better. And if the guy that I know he's doing great, all of a sudden, he goes out of business. I'm so happy because he went out of business. So that mentality.
Flo,
seriously,
I was born there too. No, you can't say that flat out. I was born there too. I had the same kind of crap, seeing the same thing. Yep. I refused to accept it and give in. Refused to accept it.
My wife, one time, I think that's the only thing I learned from my wife, and I'm just kidding.
You better be kidding.
I hope she doesn't listen to this. But she told me this. She noticed that every time someone would say, "Hey, Flo, how you doing?" I would just say, "Hey, okay." I've had better days. She said, "Why aren't you positive? Look at everybody else." So you look at the Americans. Whenever you say, "Hey, what's up?" Good, and you? They never say that they're in pain or they could be better.
Yeah,
there's always a positiveness thing, and that changed. I changed completely from that moment on. I never say, whenever somebody says hi, I never say, no, I have a bad back, I have a broken toenail or whatever. No, I'm great. Seriously, because that's life. You have to look at life in a positive way, and unfortunately, Maria and Angela, look at our national song. It's sad. Yes. So that tells us Portuguese people love to suffer. They do.
Melancholy. There's melancholy.
It's easier, and I'm going to tell you this. And I did that. The first event that I did was the Operation Haiti. We did a live event to raise funds for Haiti. I put together a show with me and the guys that are my partners now. We put together a show in 2.5 weeks that broadcast all over the world, 2.5 hours of 8 live bands. We had Jorge Ferreira, Marisa Moraes, all these Portuguese artists. We broadcasted live on radio, TV, and internet. We raised $44,000 in 2.5 hours. We sold those tickets. We sold, and by the way, Red Cross never sent us a letter saying thank you for the check. But anyway, when there's a disgrace, when something happens, Portuguese people run to it. An award show, and fortunately we were able to do that. And I've seen people bring artists, and they never show up, and they show up, even events, happy stuff, they don't show up because, I don't know, maybe they're too comfortable at home. But if it's something to raise funds for someone that died or whatever, they show up. Why? Why is that? I mean, you need to celebrate life and not, it's great to help other causes, but people they don't respond the way they're supposed to.
The whole thing is Flo, I think now, it's, like I said before, I refuse to go down that road and be negative. I truly, and I know Angela feels the same way, that your success is our success.
Exactly.
And we know that. We know that, we feel that, and we live it. And I think as the newer generation, whatever, will hopefully break that cycle of being melancholy, of, that part there, and actually embrace and enjoy their, life in general, and want other Portuguese people to succeed. And I think this is it. By you having your show and showcasing all of that, that is it. You are giving this huge in your face, look at us. Look at how successful we are in this. And let's celebrate it. Gosh,
we had an experience, and I hate to go back and touch some, the subject. When we started IPMA, I produced the local, they had a local music award show too. It's the AUA. And I used to produce for them. And I did it for free. And one day I got tired. I got tired because they would thank everybody and their dogs but me. And I would bring 4 or 5 cameras. I would do all the graphic work, not into the dimension of what I'm doing now. So when I started IPMA, it wasn't because of them or anything. It was a compliment to what they were doing. They were doing a local thing, and I'm doing an international thing. You cannot imagine the fight that some of these people put up, to the extent that there were people fighting on Facebook on both sides. You guys are doing this because of this and not because of it. I'm like, no, most of these guys on the local association, they're my friends. They submit that, you can think about that. Fortunately, it's no longer what happened, but make a long story short, they went out of their way to try and screw with us, did a show on the same exact day that we did. A year later, they closed down.
Yeah,
because they took themselves out of the out of business because they spent money they didn't have just to try and compete with someone. You can't do that.
Yeah,
I mean, just let's all work together. We're part of the same community. We're here to do the same exact thing. The only difference is we do it international. You guys do it local. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So, but there was that jealousy thing. So
yeah, but I think that's a good example of where your perseverance and your what's the word I'm looking for? Like, it's not even self-motivating. It's perseverance despite people being negative, despite people trying to bring you down. Whether it's this, and I think it's a message for everybody, right? Because I think there are a lot of times when people want to do something or start something new, and they talk about the idea, oh, we should do this or we should do that, and there are people, oh, you're crazy. Why would you do that? And it's like, you know what? I bet you if you just kept talking to people, there are enough people that would agree with you, and you work with those people and you do it, and don't let the naysayers stop you from doing it. I think that happens too often in our community because, for example, there's one of the Portuguese halls here in California, membership is dying. Nobody comes to their events anymore. They actually had a young Portuguese person who moved into the area decide, you know what, I'm going to go to one of our meetings, see what it's about. I have some ideas. He went there. He's new to the area, but he represents the younger generation, provided some ideas on, what if we changed the dinner and did something like this? Oh, you're crazy. Who do you think you are? You come in here, da-da-da. And, now he's never gone back, and they've lost potential audience there. So, who knows? Maybe he'll band with some other Portuguese friends and start their own hall and start their own thing. But that's
what happens. That's what happens. What they do is there's perfect examples in our community. There was an organization from this town. The president had a fight with the vice president. They went both ways. They started their own club, and both of them are dying now.
Yeah.
So
it's unfortunate. It's really a bummer, but. It's a very relevant topic that I think, needs to be talked about more often. But, then you see things like IPMA or things like YPA in California or, our podcast where we're celebrating other Portuguese. And so you just really have to focus on the positive things and put your efforts towards that. And I hope that people listen to this and say, yeah, I'm going to seek out the people that are doing positive things and put my energies towards that. So people, there's plenty of us out there to go support. So whether you want to get involved in IPMA or YPA or, a museum or whatever, sponsor our podcast, whatever. There's a lot of things. There are a lot of outlets for people that are looking for something positive, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Now I'm going to step back a little. And I'm going to ask a couple of questions because we are around that table. And we're going to talk about food.
Oh, that's my favorite subject.
All right. Now, we're going to talk about food. And I'm going to ask you what your family table looks like and what is your favorite dish, Flo?
Well, my table is just my wife and I, with the exception of, holidays, my daughters come home and we all sit around the table. We have a big table, the boyfriends come, the grandson comes, and it's always a joyous event. We do a lot of stuff outdoors too. But my favorite dish, but it's because I create it. No, I'm just kidding. Poor Valegre, but the way I make it. Well, my wife does not cook. I'm the one that does the cooking. I just went to the Azores for the weekend, and I spent the weekend cooking for my wife's family. So instead of teaching how to make my octopus leguered and then fish soup and all that. So I'm not a great chef. I like to cook, and I love to take someone's recipe and kind of make it my own. So, and my polvo leguered, I could eat that every day.
Really? I love polvo.
Yes.
Delicious. Now, let me ask you this. What did your mom, was your mom a good cook?
Yes, she was. My father had a tavern and she used to cook for the tavern.
Oh, that's right. Because you said your dad had a bar. Now,
yeah, he had a bar for 44 years. It's still there. It still survived. He sold it though.
Oh, okay.
No, my father sold it.
What was a favorite dish your mom made for you?
Oh boy, let me see what she used to make that I like. She used to make a lot of good stuff that I liked. Carne guisada, that was probably one of my favorites. And the other one, it was rab de vaca. Ooh, now it sounds so gross. Rab de vaca stewed. That was so good.
So that's cowtail for those of us.
Cowtail, yeah. No, I couldn't even look at that. But she was really good. That was very tasty.
I would say carne guisada, absolutely. Stewed meat, that's a delicious dish. The cowtail, I don't know about that.
I did not touch the cowtail. It was the sauce and the potatoes. It was to die. It was to die for. Yes. And she had another thing too. When she used to make soup, she used to give me the bone so I could suck the marrow out of the bone. I absolutely love that. Now I can even look at that. I'm like, what's wrong with me now?
You know what's funny is that my dad he would always have the marrow bones because my dad always loved that marrow. Mm-hmm. And he would eat it straight up or sometimes on the bread. And what's funny is I never cared for the marrow bones, even though I put marrow bones in my cooking because it adds more flavor and all that stuff.
Yes.
But my husband, who is not Portuguese, he's English-Irish, he loved the marrow just like my dad, and also puts it on the bread. I mean, he really loves all of that stuff. It's hard.
One thing that my mom used to make, she used to make soup for the whole week. And then probably once a week, she used to make charge frites.
Yes.
So what I used to do is I used to take bread, cut it into pieces, put it in a bowl, take the spine off the charge into pieces, put it there, and then put the soup on top and mix it all.
Oh.
That was so good.
Like in a salsa, isn't it?
Yeah, that was so good.
I have to say, that's probably one of the things I love most about Portuguese cooking. And maybe it exists in other ethnicities too, but I clearly am not as familiar, right? But I love that it's like mix and match whatever you want and make it a Portuguese dish.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Whatever. It's like, sopa de casa, just a little bit of this, whatever you got left over.
When I was a kid, I was always an entrepreneur. My father, I had a hand-me-down bicycle from my two older brothers. We have four of them. And the bike was an 18-inch, which is very small. I'm 6'2". At the time, I was already pretty tall. So riding that bike, my knees kept hitting the handlebars. So I used to charge my friends 2.5 escudos for a ride all the way from my house to the corner and come back. They would pay the money, and then we will go up together and buy candy. And then I would come home, and my mother used to give me lunch, a snack in the middle of the afternoon. And the snack was a slice of bread, not sliced bread from here, but from there, with butter, dark cocoa, but unsweetened, and sugar on top.
Yes.
Oh, that sounds delicious. My God.
Now you're saying that, and it just brought back a memory. My grandmother, my madrinha, my mom's mom, would have that for me. She would always have something for me every time I came back from school. So anytime I came home, I knew that my grandmother would have something for me. And when she didn't bake or have the biscuits or have something sweet, it was a slice of Portuguese bread, the wheat bread, not the cornbread, the wheat bread, like papiana, and with butter and just sugar, not the cinnamon, just the sugar. And do you know that sometimes I kind of have a hankering for that? It's weird.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
But I do. It's like, oh my God, that is the one thing I wanted to ask you. And that is, again, something I always love to ask people. And I know Angela does too. And that is, of course, I'm hearing all of these things about you being entrepreneurial and all that. And I truly feel that we have that gene. We have this, a lot of us have that little gene in us, which is great, which I think is wonderful.
My father was from Agua Torta, so.
Yeah. It's just something where I think we just do. We just find something to do. No one's going to tell us.
Well, I think it's survival. It's part of your surviving skills. You need to do it. I mean, that was another thing that I used to do. My father used to give me 5 escudos to go to the cinema every week, once a week, because there was no TV at the time. And the cinema ticket was 2.5 escudos. And I used to buy comic books. And I used to read them, and then I used to sell them the following week and make a little money. So we could go across the street and buy our snack to go to the movies, which was French fries with mustard.
Oh, geez. Well, now the question I'm going to ask you is what it means to you being Portuguese.
Well, it means more as I get older. Being Portuguese, I think it's unique because of our history, of our ancestors. And it means that we are hard workers. And I think we help a lot of people. I don't know if I'm explaining my feelings that well, but it means a lot. I'm really proud of my heritage and of what we have achieved and we are achieving too. Although we are a very small country in the corner of Europe, we've done a lot, and I'm proud of what our ancestors have been able to do and what we are doing now too. So,
yeah, I feel it's kind of like despite the challenges we have with some of our personalities and DNA for being fatalistic, we choose to be proud of good things and the fact that. And Maria, you talked about this all the time too, about how our ancestors were so brave to come over here and leave everything that they knew and how much courage that took, and how much hard work that took to come over here and be successful, or anywhere, whether they went to Canada, whether they went to Brazil, whether they went to any other country, right?
It's that willpower. I mean, and the thing too, we leave the motherland, we come here, and there's no way in hell I would have ever worked in a factory when I was in the Azores, if there was a factory to work, because socially it's a disaster. You're not, you like a second-class citizen, that type of thing, or even people look down. At one point, the people that lived in the city looked down on people that lived on the villages next to it. So much so they have a club, which is at Neo Comercial. They would not take any members if they were not from the city. That's how much discrimination there was, seriously. And we've adapted. We come to these countries. We work hard. And we don't care what we have to do to survive and to succeed. When I lived in Boston for 5 years, I had no heat for 5 years because I couldn't afford the heat. You know what I did? Leachmeer, good thing they're out of business now. I got a credit card from Leachmeer, $500. And I would go and get a space heater and use it for 25 days. I would go to the bathroom, I used to use it. We having dinner, I put it in the dining room, or if we in the bedroom, I used to use it. And then at the end of the 25 days, I would return it to Leachmeer. They would give me credit for it, and then the beginning of the following month, I'll get another one. Oh, that's how. Seriously, but that's how we made it through the 5 years we lived in Somerville, because we could not afford it.
Wow.
So, and people see the end result. They think it came easy, but we work hard for that. So nothing was given handed out. Everything that we all achieved is because we work hard. And when people said that there will be money on the streets, on the trees, I don't see it. Not on my trees.
You know what's funny? My grandmother said it best one time, and that is, she said when she lived in St. Michael, and you would have the people that would have immigrated here, and they would go back to visit. They would talk about how it was the land of opportunity. It was the land of a lot of money. It was a land of all this, that even the plates that you ate on, they would throw away. And so my grandmother said, I would hear that, and I would think to myself, oh my God, what a rich country that you would eat off of plates and throw it away. I can't wait to go to this country where everything is that wonderful. She goes, they didn't tell me that the plates were made out of paper. This is the type of thing where, it's not, nothing is easy. For all of us that are here, being either first, second, third generation, our families worked very hard to get where we are right now, and nothing is given to us. But you know what? I think what we need to always do and remind each other is that we need to be there for each other for that extra hand. Because
I think that's what we lack in compassion. A lot of people are. They don't like to help anymore. So I think we should, us as Portuguese, we should stick together. We should do a lot of more things together. I because of IPMA, I don't know if you know this, I'm the one that organizes the Day of Portugal now. 3 years ago, we took over because the year before, they ended up having about 20 people. They had a flag raising ceremony, and that was it. So they asked me if I could help organize. We got a group of young people. I'm considering myself young now. But anyway, we got together. We brought a massive stage, massive lights, massive everything. And people started to come. Now, today, I was just given an interview on a radio station, and during a break, they said, wow, you guys really did it. The Day of Portugal in Fall River, it's the place to go. Why? Because we worked hard. We had to raise $70,000 to pay artists, to pay musicians, because what they do here, they always ask for stuff for free. These artists, they work hard at their trade. They write music. They take time to rehearse away from their families. They buy equipment. And why should they perform for free? Just because they are Portuguese? No, let's all, we have a committee. Let's all work and try hard. And we did. And one old committee member came up to me and said, "Did you guys make any money?" And I'm like, "What is it to you? You're not part of the committee." And then he says, "Well, because we need money." I'm like, "You need money for what?" "Oh, we need to fix some stuff." And I'm like, "Did you make any money during your 15 years as a member of the committee?" And he said, "No, I actually took money out of my pocket." And then I said, "Well, we spent $70,000. How do you want us to get any money left?" Which we did. And then he says, "Well, that's too much money. You shouldn't spend that kind of money." "No, that's crazy. That's crazy. You should at least have made $50,000. For what? Why do I need $50,000 for the Day of Portugal? We don't use that money. We created a nonprofit, and if we have extra money, we give it to charity. That's what we're here for, to help others out. And if we actually, what we're trying to do is, if we have money, we're going to start giving out scholarships. But with a little thing, once you graduate from college, you're going to help us out. Not money, but be part of the committee. So this continues on. It's not, just giving, there's $1,000 or $2,000. Go ahead, get your doctor's or your PhD or your master's or whatever. But, when you're done, you sign a little paper saying you're going to give 1 year of your life as a committee member. You're not going to work every day, but you're going to come back. You're going to be part of this.
That's a great idea, Flo. That really is a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
I'm sorry. I know we're coming up into our time. Our time is ending pretty soon.
Oh, let's go for another hour, Maria. Come on. We can fill it. No problem.
But I want to make sure we get this out. I mean, I know that I want to repeat this. April 21st, Friday, April 21st, 7 p.m. at the Cultural Center in Fall River is the IPMA Gala.
Yes, you can get your tickets at ipmaawards.com.
Perfect. Then on Saturday, April 22nd at 7 p.m., the IPMA Awards show will be at the Zeiterion Theater in New Bedford. Are tickets still available, or are they sold out already?
We about 85% sold. So we have, I'd say, about a couple of hundred, maybe less.
Okay. Perfect.
And with the nominations this week now, they're really going to go fast. People usually, our people are procrastinators they wait for the last day. And the best thing we did about IPMA is that the committee, we do not hand out any tickets at all. So if you lost your chance, you are screwed. Don't call me. And I do get a lot of calls.
I bet you. So I have a question. I do have one question. Will there ever be a West Coast IPMA event?
Wow. The problem with that right now, first of all, budget-wise, would probably be a lot more expensive in the West Coast. Second, a lot of the pre-work for the production is done local. So I'm local. We came out with this crazy idea of the intro of the show. I cannot divulge what it is, but it's something that will blow people's mind. Now, I have to have a meeting at the Zeiterion and with the people that I want them to do stuff to find out if it's possible to do what you want. So if it's in California, it's going to be very hard to do. Not to say that we cannot do it. We would love to do it, but a little different. We were in Canada last year. Some people called us. They wanted to bring IPMA to Canada. 1 year in Canada, 1 year here. Right now, we're not ready for that step. Where I am ready, and my two partners are going to kill me, is, and I proposed this to them before, we have a new talent competition that we do. And usually it's the two finalists this year. The two finalists, one is from Angola. The other one is from British Columbia, Canada, Nikita. And what I'd like to do is have, let's say, one round of the new talent competition in America, could be in the West Coast. We'll have one, this will include Canada and US, of course, one in Europe and one in Africa. And the three winners will perform at the IPMA in the East Coast at the end. So that is something that will be on the works. We've also, I think I already said that we joined forces with this company, and to try and get bigger sponsors, Pilot Studios. I don't know if I mentioned that already because I talked so much today in different places. We have a company, a branding company out of Boston that we signed a deal with them. They are, just to give you an idea, they do the branding and all kinds of stuff for Pixar Studios, Lucasfilms, WWE, just to name a few. They are huge. So we presented the project to them. The owner fell in love with it. So we created a whole new image. Unfortunately, it was a little bit too late. We will not use it this year, but we will announce it next year. We have a new logo, new look, new everything, very modern. And that itself will help us propel us into a different market that we can get bigger sponsors and move to all these places. So that's the idea.
That's beautiful. And then, of course, the last thing that we want to say is after the IPMA Awards, you'll have the after party, which is also that evening, right after, back to the Cultural Center in Fall River. So
yes, that will be the fun part. And usually by that time, I'll be in a corner with a bottle of water falling asleep while everybody's done. That happens every single year. Because I'm exhausted. It's such an emotional roller coaster to be inside that truck and do what I do. That by the time I'm done, there's nothing. I don't want to socialize, but I think I have to change my ways. I can be a grump after the show. So
yes. Well, this was wonderful. I don't know, Angela. Do you have any other questions you want to ask Flo?
Well, I have a million, but our time is up. So we'll just have to have you here. How about this? We have you on after the show and talk about how things went and stuff like that. That would be fun.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Hopefully, I'll be in Mexico sipping another tequila. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not doing it this year, but every year, the day after IPMA, I fly to Mexico.
Do you really?
Yes, every year after the lunch party and after the show, I always fly, but I'm not doing it this year. So
just so you know, Flo, we can do this on remote, so you can call us from the beach in Mexico. That's not
yeah.
No, I don't think I'll do it. No, we're not going this year. No, we might go somewhere else, but a couple of days later, because the turnaround of the show. Because once we do the show, we tape it last year with 14 cameras. I have to put it together, and then what we do, the audio is recorded on a 64-track system that goes into studio for post-production. Because when you have the sound from a live show, the EQ is totally different than if you were at home listening to it. Right. So what we do, we go to a studio and they remix it and they make it sound good for people at home, because then we make a DVD and a CD and we just give it to people. Beautiful.
Now let me ask you this: for those that live in Canada and in anywhere around the world, they'll be able to see this live.
Yeah, that usually airs on RTPI. We'll announce when. We also do a web stream for a week. We leave it up. We announce that too. And also in different parts of the world, we do have already associations with different stations. Like in California, we've been giving it to RTA, Radio Television of Artesia. We give them the full product. SIC International also broadcast that. We have different TV stations in Angola, Mozambique. They also take our feed. So we're growing our network of media that will broadcast our signal.
Right.
Hopefully one day we'll do it live, but not now. We're not ready for it.
Okay. We'll make sure that when we do when we put this out into our podcast goes live, we'll make sure that we'll put that information for people to know how they'll be able to see it and all of that.
Okay. Very good.
But thank you so much, Flo. I know you're a busy man. I know you.
No.
We really appreciate you taking the time.
Yes, this is awesome.
I thank you very much for the opportunity. And if you ask my friends, they'll say I don't do anything. So don't believe when I say that I work. Seriously, ask any of my friends. This Flo work? They're going to say no. So, and actually, they are true to a certain degree, because what I do, I don't think it's work. I love what I do, and it's not work to me. So they actually right. I do not work.
But that is
the secret to success, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
You have to love what you do. So that's wonderful. So thank you for all that you do, Flo. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and hope to see all of you soon.
Yes.
Yep.
Bye.
Good luck.
Okay.
Até a próxima.
Até a próxima.
Até a próxima. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. What a character. You were right.
He truly is. I've met him a few times, and he's been here in my home. He did a recording for the Portuguese channel a couple of times in regards to my book, and then the cooking show that I'm in, all of that. So he is a character. He is so funny in person, and truly he is a hardworking man. He really is. And what he's doing is amazing. It's just amazing.
Oh my God. Yeah. The level that he has brought that event is really impressive. I mean, I hope to go one year. It's hard for me to get down to the East Coast. That's why I asked about the West Coast version. But no, I mean, it's an amazing event. It's an amazing
I was going to say it's too late for this year, but next year.
Yeah. For sure.
We'll have to plan that.
And I will say, I mean, I know we touched on some sensitive subjects, but I think we have to talk about those things if we're ever going to move past it and become more united as a community. I really do.
Yeah, I think you're right. But I'm just, number one, and I'm going to say it again, I think, we always talk about the people that we want to interview and have on our podcast, and then we go, oh, but they're such busy people. I don't know what they're going to say. And I, with Floriano, and I'm like, oh my God, that man is so busy. I'd love to have him on. And all it was calling him and saying, I'd love to have you on. And him saying, whenever you want me, Maria. It's absolutely. And we've been very lucky, Angela, that everyone we've asked has said yes.
Yes, I know. Isn't that, it's like, I don't know, maybe the outlet and the format and, it's just so different that people are willing. And maybe they're just happy if someone's finally celebrating them. I don't know. So,
I love it. This is a great show.
We're doing a great job, Maria. We are.
Yes, we are. You know what? You're amazing. There you go.
You are the woman, Maria. You are the woman.
No, you know what? We're doing what we want to do, and this is fun. And at the same time, we're getting our stories out there of real successful Portuguese people. And, we're just going to keep shouting it from the rooftop. And
someone's bound to listen.
Yes, they are listening. Gosh darn it. They're listening. So yeah, this was fun. As always. Good. As always.
Alrighty. Well, I guess that's a wrap.
That's a wrap, everyone. I hope everyone enjoyed this as much as we did. And we thank you for listening many times. I think we're up to, I don't know how many followers and listeners and that we have. The numbers keep increasing, which is awesome. Yep. It's growing and growing. Our community is growing, folks, which I love, love, love. Thank you for being part of it. And just thank you.
And if you haven't hit subscribe, what the boop are you waiting for? Come on now.
And that was our sound guy booping it out, wasn't it?
Right. No, seriously, write us a review. Write us a review on iTunes. It really does help, believe it or not. And share with family and friends. And send us your comments. We love hearing from you guys. We really love it.
And we're going to put it out there again. The one person we want to interview, but we don't know how to get a hold of her, because if I did, I'd be getting a hold of her or Angela. And that is Meredith Vieira.
Yeah. And I looked for, I thought maybe I had her email address from a long time ago with the Palcas thing, and I can't find it. I can't find it. Yeah.
We're going to find her. Somehow, somewhere, she's going to be on. That's our goal for 2017.
That's a good goal. It's a good goal.
All right, folks. All right. Have a great one. Até a próxima, querida.
Até a próxima.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks again for listening to our Portuguese Table podcast.
If you haven't subscribed yet, you can do so on SoundCloud or iTunes.
And all episodes can be found on our website at www.ourportuguesetable.com.
You can also reach us at feedback@ourportuguesetable.com with comments, questions, or suggestions.
Até a próxima!